Hey everyone, it's Rose Emoji from PlayingPioneer.com. We're back with another Lead the Way video with Carnage Cards ENT. How you doing today, Carnage?
Not bad yourself. Happy to be back. See that we're playing my personal favorite, Vampires.
Yeah. So we're on Orzhov Vampires today. We're gonna take it through a league with me behind the keyboard, and Carnage leading the way on the actual gameplay. Keeping true to the theme of these videos, this is a deck I've never piloted before, but this was a deck that I was very, very close to purchasing fully on paper. It was like 2 months before Crimson Vow released, and I was like ready to pull the trigger, go full in on Vampires, and then Sorin, Imperious Bloodlord, had spiked from like $10 to $35 in the couple of months before Crimson Vow was released. So I was like, I'll stick with what I'm playing. But I've definitely seen this deck a lot. There's someone at my F&M that plays Vampires and does pretty well with it. So yeah, let's get right into the deck.
Yeah, so as you said, Crimson Vow was definitely the set that pushed this deck from Fringe, F&M to, at the time when Crimson Vow was released, up into the top of the tiers. It was seeing a ton of play in challenges and PTQs and things like that. Recently with the new set, it didn't get very much help. You'll see from the deck list here that we only have one card from Kamigawa in here, which is the Takanuma. But outside of that, it's been pretty stock. It's fallen itself down the ladder a little bit. But I do think that it's a solid, I guess I would call it more of a tempo deck. It's very close to aggro, but it does have a little bit of mid-range features to it. As you said, Sorin, the Bloodlord, is definitely the important card of the deck. It allows you to cheat some of the better spells like Champion of the Dusk, Edgar, Kalidas, things like that onto the battlefield a little bit earlier. And though that's kind of how you create your card advantage engines is with those. But besides that, it plays very much so like a mono black aggro deck where it has efficient interaction, like the 4 Thought Seizes, the 4 Fatal Push. It's 1 mana. You're going to be able to interact with your opponent, and it has creatures that are a little bit better than their mana value. So Gifted Aetherborn, Dusk Legion Zealot, and Knight of the Ebon Legion are all cards that are a little bit better than, your regular 1 mana or 2 mana creatures. And they all happen to be vampires, which fits into the theme of this deck. The good part is the mana base allows you to play 4 Mutavaults and 2 Hive of the Eye Tyrants, which are evasive and powerful lands that don't really disrupt what's going on with the deck. Mutavault also happens to be a vampire, which is important, and I'm sure we'll see a little bit as we start some gameplay. Outside of that, it plays 1 Sorin the Mirthless. That would be, just a nice grindy planeswalker that it has, and 2 Murderous Riders, which are not vampires and do not fit into that tribal deck, but it's just a good, efficient removal spell that kind of catches those planeswalkers and creatures, and it's, one of those adventure cards, so we can cast it as a creature on the other side too. If we move over into the sideboard, what makes this deck playable is the fact that it is splashing white. So you do get to play, in my opinion, the best sideboard color in Pioneer right now, which is white. It gives you access to Rest in Peace, which is going to help you in your Phoenix matchup and the Greasefang matchups. You get to play 3 Deafening Silence, which pretty much is now just stock for anybody who can possibly play white, as it's very, very good against all of those top decks like Phoenix, Lotus, even good against Control and things like that. So you've got 3 of those, and you Fracture, which helps you. If you were just black, you would have almost no way besides Feed the Swarm to interact with artifacts and enchantments. So you get to play this. It also has the ability to hit planeswalkers, which is going to be good in that blue-white control matchup, as that's how they're going to try and leverage and take over the game. And you get Blood Baron. Blood Baron was very, very important at the time when this deck was up at the top, because that's how you were beating those mirror matches and the other mono black aggro deck. You used to be playing 2 of them. It's why now we're playing 1. It's not as good as it used to be in a lot of matchups, but it's still definitely a positive haymaker. We switch over to the black cards. The black cards are pretty stock, what you'd see from pretty much any black deck at this point. You've got 3 go blanks, a Heartless Act, which is just a little bit more removal, Duress. The Crippling Fear is the card that you won't see in a lot of decks. Crippling Fear is really, really good in a deck like this, as if we name Vampire, none of our vampires are going to get hit by any of that effect, and every other creature on the board is going to get -3/-3. So it's pretty much a one-sided board wipe in a lot of matchups, and it's going to help us create a board presence and not worry too much about having to wipe away everything we have on the battlefield. And then you have Necromancia, which is very, very important now as we see Lotus kind of pop up to the top of the Pioneer metagame, as it can take away their Lotus Fields or any other card depending on the point in the game to be able to kind of win that matchup. And you have the stock Grafdigger's Cage in the little artifacts over in the corner, which is good in the Winota matchup, Phoenix matchup, and other matchups too.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, and I remember for a little while, mono black vampires was the truth. And it seemed like Edgar Charmed Groom was the card that changed that, because we always had Blood Baron, right? And some of the initial Orzhov Vampires list were just 2 Edgar Charmed Groom in the main board and 1 or 2 Blood Barons in the sideboard, and that was the only white. Now we have access. We're running these sideboard tools that I didn't see before in the initial lists. Was the white splash just less at the time to where?
I think at the time you were pretty much not playing very many black-white lands. You were trying to do it with 2 Voldaren estates and maybe a few other ones just in case you had to cast the Edgar or the Blood Baron. You were mostly relying on Sorin to bring those cards onto the battlefield. It kind of shifted a little bit when you realize that your bad matchups with this deck can all be fixed with the white sideboard cards. So the decks that this one struggles to play against are Lotus and Phoenix, and the way to combat Lotus and Phoenix are with the white sideboard cards. And through testing, you realize that adding the white lands comes at a very, very low cost to the mana base. The mana base, yes, seems a little bit like black intensive, but outside of Gifted Aetherborn, you really don't need double black until you get to turn 4 or 5, which is reasonable to expect to get, 2 black sources by that point in time. So you were able to kind of make that shift and play some more white sources. Even looking at the mana base now, you see that we're really only playing 8 white sources. It's not a lot of white sources, and that's why we don't play like 10 white sideboard cards. It's just a small splash, and it's because those cards are good early and good late. So if you don't have white or don't have the ability to have a white mana source on turn 1 or 2, it's okay, because playing Deafening Silence on turn 3 or 4 or Rest in Peace on turn 3 or 4 against those bad matchups is still going to be good. And honestly, in the case of Phoenix, you probably want to play your Rest in Peace a little bit later, as you allow them to kind of build up that graveyard that they think they're going to be able to use and then take it away from them. So it's less of a concern. I think players realized once playing with the deck that adding more white wasn't going to hurt the overall deck.
Have you experimented with this at all? Have you thought about black red, or have you thought about different vampires?
So Vampires was a deck that I was playing a ton of before Kamigawa. Um, I never thought of anything else but possibly red. But to me, Edgar was the card you wanted to be playing. It's like I said, Vampires maybe isn't all that well positioned right now, but it was at the time because the control deck's only real way to get rid of Edgar was destroy and not exile. And so he was able to always come back. So he was really, really, really good at that time. And it's why he was pretty much the only card you wanted to be playing was Edgar.
How about looking forward into these some of these leaks from today?
Yeah, so looking forward into the leaks from today, Xander, the I guess mob boss or crime lord or whatever of the Grixis faction, he looks really really great. We're early into the spoils. It is just one vampire, but he's incredibly powerful. He's 6 for 7. Cheating him in is definitely going to have like a massive effect on the board state. And I am looking forward to bringing him in. As I said, Edgar has kind of lost a little bit of his luster due to Otherworldly Light. Now, control decks have like a clean exile answer to him. So I do think that Vampires is looking for its other big payoff card, and Xander looks like he possibly could be that card. And we can be excited more than likely if he's a vampire and he leads his mobster faction or gang, depending on how you want to call those. It means he probably is doing it with other vampires, which means we could see some newer vampires. So it's definitely something to keep your eye on if you're looking to purchase into Vampires and think this is a deck you might want to be playing. You really want to be paying attention to the spoils that are coming through, because if there's just one great vampire or two great vampires, this deck has the ability to jump from, the D or F and M tier all the way up to, the A or S tier pretty fast.
Yeah. Great. All right. So yeah, again, we're gonna play through a league with this deck as it is right here on the screen. Let's jam some games. Found our first game.
Round 1.
Maybe. There it is.
All right.
All right, we're on the draw. How's this hand looking? We can cast a Sorin into a champion, but is that enough?
It's definitely not enough. I was also reading our opponent is a big fan of PlayingPioneer. Awesome to see.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely. The hand has the best possible turn 3 in it, but has nothing to do until then. If we were on the play, it would be a bit more of a consideration, as we'd be doing it on their turn 2. But I think we're going to mulligan and try and find something a little bit more proactive to do.
Okay. Yeah.
So see a much better hand. Here we'll put back a Gifted Aetherborn as we've already got one. We probably won't need another. Here we're hoping to draw another vampire. It doesn't necessarily have to be a great vampire, but something like a Champion of the Dusk would be great here. We'll lead on Thoughtseize here. I don't think it matters if we take the life now or next turn. More than likely, we're going to have to cast our Gifted Aetherborn next turn. So we'll Thoughtseize, open up that hand. Looks like we're playing some sort of Bring to Light deck. I don't think it's Niv. It might be like a value Bring to Light deck here. We're going to take the opposing Thoughtseize. They have nothing to do right now until turn 4. And we want to protect our Sorin, as it's going to be our best card.
Cool. Okay.
Their hand is powerful and definitely something that's going to be able to kind of get us, but right now they only have one land. They need to draw 2 lands in the next 2 turns to be able to even play their 4 drops. And by that point, we'll already have a Sorin on board and a Gifted Aetherborn. We'll be playing the Bright Climb on the other side, so the Grim Climb, and we'll be playing the Gifted Aetherborn. Second Sorin isn't great. Like I said, we're looking for some sort of other vampire here, something to get on the board, either free with Sorin or right after it. Mm-hmm. But it is never terrible to have multiple Sorins.
Valky
here is okay. They're going to be able to take the Murderous Rider, but I don't think it's going to matter all that much. So we don't know if they've drawn their 3rd land. If they miss their land drop here, it's better for us, which they did. So they're far away. So I would lead on the Mutavault here, because it's possible we'll be attacking with it next turn, as it is a vampire and Sorin's able to pump it up. So we'll be playing Sorin. We'll uptick it on the Gifted Aetherborn, and we'll swing.
All right.
So we're allowing Sorin here to get hit by the Valky, but Sorin has pretty high loyalty, and it'll still drop to 3. And seeing as how we have a second Sorin, we could do something very cool, like minus the Sorin, put a big vampire into play if we draw one, and then play a Sorin on top of it. So
okay,
we're not too worried about it getting hit here. They drew their 3rd land, so they do need to draw something else. Fatal Push is okay here. It's why we wanted to lead on the Mutavault. It allows us next turn to pump the Mutavault up and attack with it if we don't draw anything to do.
Swinging at Sorin for 2.
Yeah. So Mutavault, I would play it. We'll activate the non-newly controlled one, so we need to be sure we're activating the right one. Easiest way is to click. It'll normally say newly controlled.
Oh, all right. I almost did the wrong one.
And now pump up on... Oh.
Yep.
It's all right. It's no big deal. So we'll attack. And then we'll pump up on it.
Pump it now? Okay.
Yeah. So we know all 4 cards in their hand, so we know they really need a land here to be able to do anything. If they do draw the land and it's untapped, they'll be in a pretty good position. We haven't been drawing so great. 5 lands here isn't ideal.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're really looking for a Champion of the Dusk or an Edgar or something to help us push our advantage here. They chose not to. Perfect. So what we can do here is we can activate both Mutavaults and then put the champion into play and draw 3 cards.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like I said, we don't worry too much about our Sorin going down to 1 here, as we have the additional Sorin.
So as we said in the deck tech, Mutavault is a creature with all creature types, so that means it is a vampire. So when Champion of the Dusk enters the battlefield, we're going to draw X cards and lose X life, where X is the number of vampires you control, which
exactly
is 2.
Which is 3, because Champion counts himself.
Oh, right, yeah, yep.
So we're going to draw 3 cards here. We're going to be able to attack for 5, offering them the trade of their Valky on one of our Mutavaults.
Oof.
3 lands isn't great. We'll probably play the Mutavault here as our land. It doesn't need to be right now, but we're just going to want as many attackers as we possibly can. So we'll attack here with both Mutavaults, offering them, like I said, the trade with our 2/2. If they want it, it'll get us back our Murderous Rider, and we have another Mutavault to play on the turn following up anyway. So they drew something. Oh, they're going to turn it into. They're gonna turn it into it. So it's going to eat our Mutavault here. Yeah. But if that's how they're spending their mana, it's not too bad for us. So we'll play the other Mutavault, and we'll pass it back to them. So now next turn, we're threatening to attack with a 3/3, 2/3/3s and a 4/4. If they don't draw anything or a land, which it seems like they might not have. They might choose to attack the Sorin here. If they have a removal spell, they don't. So I think we can safely assume that, wow, another land. So we'll activate both Mutavaults again here. We'll pump up the one that has no token, no counter on it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And we'll swing in here for a clean 10. Through a fatal push. Still, both of them offer chumps, which I don't think they'll take. We'll play the Hive here. And we'll pass the turn. Also important to note, Sorin has another +1 ability, which allows us to sacrifice a vampire and deal 3 damage to any target and gain 3 life. So we could definitely use that to punch through some extra damage if we're going to. So they drew their 4th land finally. They're able to play and now attack down our Sorin.
Yeah.
Which they do. See what we draw here. Pretty good draw. What we're going to be able to do is play our other copy of Sorin.
Yeah, right now.
Yeah. We'll play the Sorin. You could tap the Mutavault. We're not going to.
Okay.
We're not going to attack with it. Then we could play our Swamp. Play the Dusk Legion Zealot.
Oh, hoping to draw a giant vampire to put down with Sorin, right?
We could see what we draw, which we don't. So now what I would do is I would plus the Sorin with the other ability, the Sacrifice, and we could sacrifice the Dusk Zealot to kill their vampire and then kill their Sorin. I think Sorin is their only way really back into the game. We would love for the next turn to just tap and play Memory Deluge.
Okay.
If we had left them with both both attackers, they're both lifelink attackers,
right?
Which means that even if we do push through 4 points of damage, they undo that pretty quickly, and they can pressure our Sorin pretty well. Here, if they attack the Sorin with the Murderous Rider, they put themselves in a position where we can attack them back for lethal.
So
the problem now,
Bring to Light here.
Yeah, is now that they can cast Bring to Light. I think they're a Bring to Light deck mostly for Valky. And they've used one. I imagine they probably have more. But we'll see what they go and get here. We've definitely flooded this game. Going all the way here to 10 lands is definitely going to be our downfall here. We'll see what they do with Valky. They go down on the champion. This is interesting. Huh. All right. We've got a few options here. What we could do is we could throw the Mutavault at the Murderous Rider, and then Throw the Mutavault at the Tybalt and then use the Fatal Push to kill the Murderous Rider / Valky and get that back. But that doesn't mean that we're attacking with anything, and it means that we lose something. Here, I think probably best case
Valky with this, right?
I think that's going to be the best play. We're falling a little bit behind already. Fatal Push, obviously not looking great here either, but I think that's the play that we'll have to make. To attack the Valky or Tybalt at this point. Exiling a card here is also does mean something. We do know that they have Dig Through Time in hand.
Right.
So
Tybalt down. Do we plus this with no targets?
Yeah, we'll plus this with no targets. I don't think it's great, but we'll be able to hold up Fatal Push here. I don't think it will do anything. But if they do kill our Sorin, at least we'll be able to hit the Murderous Rider.
Mm-hmm.
So here we know they have Fatal Push. They have Dig Through Time, I mean. They're going to dig and hope to find something. Like I said, falling a little bit far behind. Drawing 10 lands is definitely put us a little bit far behind. We wish that we could have drawn a few more good vampires, a couple of champions, or maybe an Edgar. They choose not to attack. Champion looking really good here. So we'll activate the Mutavault.
Okay.
And then we will put the champion in. Consider. They can respond to this trigger by killing the Mutavault or the champion, which they do not. So this is a great draw for us. We're able to play the Edgar and hold up Fatal Push if at any point in time they kill one of our creatures. And Edgar is going to be a really resilient threat. They need to exile it, and if they do kill it, it does start giving us a few vampires here. Ooh. So they have a sabotage. It's not that bad. It means that it was a good thing that we chose to put the champion in and not cast it, as we would have been pretty far behind tapping out 5 and getting countered. So we'll swing the Mutavault in here. They definitely need to find some action. As I stated before, Sorin can just throw a creature at them for 3 damage. So they do need to avoid taking any more hits and deal with the Sorin. Another Bring to Light, it looks like. Oh, they're going to cast our champion. Interesting.
They go to 5. We can't revolt this push in any way, right?
No. See what we draw here.
Oof.
Orberg. Just lots and lots of lands. So can we put them in a spot? Okay. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna tap the Mutavault to itself. So it's a cool little trick you can do with Mutavault. So you tap Mutavault and activate itself here. We're gonna plus Sorin and throw it at them.
Yeah.
It's gonna trigger Revolt for us, and it's gonna put them at 2. So you need to click to sacrifice the Mutavault.
Yeah.
And then throw it at them.
Okay.
And then we're able to Fatal
stand
Push.
Up the Hive and.
No, actually, I think it's much safer. They only have 1 mana available. So what we're going to do is we're going to Fatal Push the Murderous Rider. It gives us our Murderous Rider back, and we will Murderous Rider the champion and attack with our champion.
Okay.
There's not many 1 mana. There's not many 1 mana interactions that can kill the champion.
And then we're going to cast Swift End.
Yep.
Here.
And he's conceded.
All right.
So it was important to note that having 1 mana up and activating the Hive could have put us in a position where they just block the champion, push the Hive, and then survive at 2. So it was much better to take that line where, there really isn't anything for 1 Sultai mana that can kill the champion. So I think we're definitely a much, much better deck sideboard. So the Vampires deck has a very good control matchup overall, as we have a lot of hand disruption and ways to kind of attack the graveyard in the same way. So I would say here we'd bring in the Go Blanks, all 3 of them, the Duress.
Yeah.
And the Blood Baron. So the Blood Baron is pro-black and white. Black seems to be probably their only way to remove anything. So it's pretty much going to be sweeper or bust for them there. Cards that look really bad here are the 2 Kalidas. I don't think they have many creatures that we're going to be able to trigger anything with. And we'll shave on the Fatal Pushes.
Just 3 of them?
Yes, there could be an argument to take out all 4 Fatal Pushes and play a Necromancia. I think that their probable only win con is Valky. So we could try and cheat a way in where we, turn 3, hit it, and they don't really have any other ways to gain ahead. Because I don't think Fatal Push is going to do all that much for us. So I would definitely do it that way. I would take out the push, bring in one of those, and try and kind of steal a win. There's also an argument to be made that we could bring in the Deafening Silence, as a Bring to Light decks can't cast Bring to Light and another spell, but I think they're really doing it with Valky and not anything else. So we'll submit here. This is a very, very good hand. So we do have very little interaction here, but we are able to go turn 1, 2, and possibly 3, and put 3 creatures onto the battlefield and a Planeswalker, which is exactly what this deck wants to do, is have a lot of threats and a lot of things that need to be answered pretty quickly. So we'll lead on Swamp here. Play the Knight.
Yeah, this looks great.
So luckily we drew our 3rd land, so we don't need to play the Dusk Legion Zealot next turn to kind of try and find that land. So we can play the Gifted Aetherborn to put a little bit more pressure on the battlefield and hold the Zealot for another turn to draw a card and get another threat on the battlefield.
And it's possible that we can hold on to our Takenuma for a little while if we need it.
Yeah, if we draw another land next turn, we can definitely use that land instead. So we'll play the Godless Shrine here, take 2. I don't think damage matters too much in this matchup, and play a Gifted Aetherborn.
Let's see. Ah.
It's all right here. Like I said, we have quite a few threats in our hand, and the really, really important thing that we're trying to do is land one of these Sorens, as it makes every single threat need to be answered. But more than likely, we've seen that they do have Sinister Sabotage, so they might be able to nab the Soren here. Another Fatal Push, and a Valky.
Valky probably hits Aetherborn.
Probably hits Aetherborn. It does put us in a little bit of a strange spot here. We don't have anything to plus our Soren on, and we don't have anything good to put in with our Soren. And they're going to be able next turn to flip the Valky into Gifted Aetherborn, which is going to make it a little bit challenging for us to do anything. But we're still going to definitely play the Soren here, and we're just going to plus it up. It doesn't die to them flipping the Valky into Gifted Aetherborn or just attacking with the Valky. So we'll just plus it on nothing. And pass the turn. This does mean that they have to invest some either mana or their attacks into the Soren, and we do have an extra copy, so we don't need to worry too much about losing it. Next turn, we'll be able to make a nice play of playing the Dusk Legion Zealot, drawing a card. Hopefully in the next 2 cards, we draw some sort of a vampire that we do want to put into play. Turning their Valky in here.
Coming at us.
Wow. It's aggressive. They might have something like an Abrupt Decay.
Yep.
To deal with the Soren. Makes more sense. They are actually down on cards, which is surprising. Well, we're drawing lands. We'll play the Dusk Legion Zealot here. Hopefully draw something to play. Thoughtseize, another land. I guess we'll play the Godless Shrine. Not untapped. Save some life and pass the turn. If they do not remove this Dusk Legion Zealot, we can use it to throw it at the Valky, get back our Gifted Aetherborn. So that would be great. Chances are they do have a counterspell, because they do not have lands, it looks like, so we do know they have at least 3 spells in hand. But we do have Takenuma, which will be able to get back the Soren, or we draw another Soren. So we'll try and play the Soren here.
Okay.
So we'll throw the Dusk Legion at the Valky. This gets us back our. Oh, they might have the Abrupt Decay.
Are they targeting? Oh, that's fine. They're targeting Soren.
Yeah, that's fine. I think that's a little bit strange. I think I would have hit the Legion here. So click on the Legion, throw it here. We'll be able to play our Swamp and actually play out the Gifted Aetherborn. So we might be drawing a lot of lands so far this match, but we are drawing a lot of Sorens.
Right.
Which is also good. Definitely the best card we have. So again, they are low on spells. They only have 3. They aren't drawing lands, so they're not able to make big plays like Bring to Light. So we are feeling pretty good. Thoughtseize is like the perfect draw here. We can play the Thoughtseize and hopefully push through the Soren. They probably don't have a counterspell, as they haven't countered the Soren up until this point. Fatal Push, not great either, but chances are we'll be able to nab their
Enter
spells
the God
here.
Eternals.
Does that hit Planeswalkers? I don't think so, right? No. So we'll take the Bring to Light here. And we'll play the Soren. And we'll plus it up on nothing. So we have the Takenuma that can get back, at this point, I guess, a gifted Aetherborn.
Mm-hmm.
But we're hoping to draw something better at some point. So they drew their 5th land, so they're able to play Enter the God Eternals. Orberg, not good either. So we'll use the Takenuma now.
Yeah. So we're going to channel Takenuma for 4.
Hopefully we mill over something juicier than a gifted Aetherborn.
Right, true.
Doesn't look like it. So we'll take the Dusk Legion, actually.
To draw?
Yeah, so no matter what we play, they're going to be able to kill it with the Enter the God Eternals. So we'd rather at least be able to draw a card.
Do we want to fling it with Sorin?
Yeah, actually, that's a great play. We'll see what we draw here. I guess the only consideration of not flinging it would be if we did draw a Champion of the Dusk, which we did not. So yeah, I would say fling it here. It means that they can't put a creature onto the battlefield to pressure our Sorin. Deal them 3. Voldaren Estate is actually a fantastic land to draw while flooding. We'll be able to make blood tokens and throw away the lands that we are flooding with.
Yeah.
Another land, good land for them. We drew our good land, they drew their good land. They're going to be able to... good draw.
All right.
Good draw. So we're going to want to cast this. We know that they can't counter it. And if we cast it and put a +1/+1 counter on it, they can't kill it with Enter the God Eternals.
Right, okay. Draw 1.
Thoughtseize even better.
Yep.
So it doesn't really matter too much on the... Yeah, it doesn't really matter the sequencing here. At this point, pretty much any spell they do draw, they're going to cast. So we might as well take the Enter the God Eternals, even though it isn't great against us. Make this a nice big 5/5er, and we'll play the Voldaren Estate out.
Mm-hmm.
See where they put these scries. 1 top, 1 bottom. Play the estate.
Oh, right.
The main phase.
Yeah.
And pass the turn. So they put something on top, so it should be something. Wow.
Do you ever put something on top and then go to turn and draw it and you're like, oh.
Yeah, I've done it. where you're like, yeah, this is definitely what I want, and then you realize like this isn't helping you.
10 seconds later.
I don't want to say that about the opponent, but I do think Assassin's Trophy is not what you want to be keeping on top. We have 2 threats and you're dealing with 1. Not sure. We'll actually play the Hive out. The Hive is going to be good here. And we'll plus the Sorin on nothing.
Can we make a blood token and crack it this turn? Oh, we can't discard.
We would need to discard. But I do think playing the Hive is very good here, as it's an evasive attacker. So we'll end of their turn, make a blood token.
Yep.
For anybody who doesn't know what Voldaren Estate does, is you can tap 5 to make a blood token, and it costs 1 less for every vampire you control. So it can be a free blood token depending on your battlefield. So they drew land here, which is good for us. We'll make a blood token. Draw for turn. Land.
Blood token.
We'll cracking that blood token. Not the Hive. Anything but the Hive.
I almost did it. That convention is kind of weird, no?
Yeah, it's not bad. We can hit How many lands do they have? They do have 7, so I would say Valky.
Oh, we can
Because it
still
allows
stand
us.
up Hive. Okay.
Yeah, we can still attack. So we
Sweet.
can, hit their Valky here. We'll see how many they're really running.
Oh.
Only 2. Do they have any other way to win? I guess Sorin, Kalidas. That's pretty much it. So looking pretty good here. And then we'll fire up the Hive. We'll plus Sorin on the Hive. It doesn't give it the +1/+1 counter, but it gives it lifelink. And we are at 13, so we can gain a little bit of life here.
Oh my god, our clock. I have not been looking at our clock.
All right. I didn't want to panic you. I didn't want to say anything. We're all right. I don't want to get too ahead here, but we're doing well. We're in a good spot. We should be all right. They left something on top, so we'll see what that is.
We're playing Vampires, and they're playing Control, and they have 10 minutes on our clock.
It's all right. We're learning.
Oh, I probably could have exiled something that matters, like Enter the God Eternals.
Yeah, I didn't see anything that would help them bring anything back, so I don't think it's relevant. I think it's just more about eating their graveyard to make digs, future digs. Ooh, Scavenging Ooze.
That's going to get real big real fast.
And it's going to gain them some life. That's a good card. They're going to go right away on eating up the graveyard.
Yeah.
So we do have 2 answers to it. Looks like Fatal Push is a little bit better in this matchup than it looked like.
Mm-hmm.
They do have a little bit more than just Valky, as they have the Scavenging Ooze and the Jace that we saw. Another land, not great. I don't even know if playing it was any good. I might have just wanted to throw it away to a blood token. I don't think it's ever getting through that Scavenging Ooze. But we'll attack with the Hive here. We'll plus it on the Hive. Gain some life. At least we can use the Mutavault to chump here if they threaten the Sorin. We are looking for an answer for that Scavenging Ooze. It's going to become better and better and better.
Mm-hmm.
Another land. See what they do here.
Kind of have to leave it back, right? I mean, at some point.
I don't think we can make one.
Oh, we can't.
Yeah, we're 1 mana short. Oof. Oh my god. Actually, I'm going to change my mind here. I think we play out the Mutavault. The game's kind of in a spot where it's a little bit strange now. So we'll activate the non-newly controlled Mutavault.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the newly. So tap that one.
Tap the... Oh, I see.
Yeah. So yeah, if you tap it, then you can make sure. There you go. And then activate the Hive.
Okay.
And then you can plus on the Mutavault. It gives it Death Touch. So they can't really block it.
Yeah.
And then we can keep the other Mutavault back to keep our Sorin alive, or next you know, and this way it kind of incentivizes them to attack the Sorin. But if they attack the Sorin, then we can attack with all the Mutavaults. So it is an exchange that we're slightly winning. But drawing all these lands is not gone well for us. Both bottom, that's good for us. So they take 6 here, they drop to 8. They're able to gain some life back with the Scavenging Ooze, but we are putting some pressure on them. Like I said, they're like incentivized to attack the Sorin, but if they attack the Sorin, they take more damage back, and they can't kill the Sorin in one attack. So they're in a weird spot right now, which is good for us. Yes, they still have a lot of good draws, and we need to start drawing something but lands, but it is looking
how many lands are in the deck?
There are 25 in the deck, but a lot of them are man lands, so they do help a little bit with flooding, but we have been unlucky. This is another good one for us. They drew land here. Again, they are in a weird spot. So we're going to be able to attack them here for 9, putting them to 1. So if we can find some sort of damage here. I don't know if we've run out of creatures for them to eat. We've run out of creatures for them to eat too. Oh, Blood Baron's very, very good here for us.
So what are we doing?
So we're going to activate the Hive. We're going to play the Blood Baron with the rest of the mana. Just attack there. We'll attack with the Hive, put them at 7.
See if we can get it done in a minute and a half.
Yeah, we'll activate the Mutavault with the counter on without the counter on it. Put the counter on that one.
What's that?
So we're gonna act with the mana that's left over. We'll activate the Mutavault that has no counter on it.
Okay. That
and
is
the other one.
Oh no, 1+1. Okay.
Yeah. Just tap the 1. Activate the Sorin on it. And then pass the turn. Nice F6 here. Bam.
Yeah.
And then F6 their turn and see what they can do here. They have 1 draw step. Next turn they're dead any way that they look at it. So they need to do something. What did they draw? Oh, they're going to do the upkeep. So this is good. It means that Bring to Light isn't an option. So they have to draw something 4 mana or less. I think the scariest thing we saw that they had would be the Kalidas.
Yeah.
All right. So GG's. We'll see if they're nice and concede, or they make us get scared on our clock. So we'll fire up the Hive here. Fire up the 2 Mutavaults and attack with everything.
Scryed 4 lands to the bottom and drew 2 lands. Oh, brutal. Do I need to plus anything?
So you just attack and then Sorin can also threaten to throw one of the creatures at them.
Right.
But I mean, they're dead on the attack.
Oh, that's my trigger. Oh man.
Watch out! Don't pay attention to the chat.
Yeah, you're right.
Like I said, they're dead here. They have to block. They take 9. We got there. Opponent got a little bit unlucky, but we definitely flooded out too. We have the same amount of lands as they have, and they're a control deck, and we're not. All right. The play.
Yeah.
Perfect. One of those strange hands. I did say in the first match, if we were on the draw, a turn 3 on their turn 2, Sorin isn't so bad. I'm going to say that we should probably keep this hand. It's not great, but 6 is worse on the play. And we do have a Mutavault, which can kind of help mitigate that. So we'll actually lead on the Mutavault.
Okay.
Depending on the matchup that we're playing against, it is very possible that we attack with it on turn 2. And we have the Orborg that makes it also a swamp for us. So if we do draw a Gifted Aetherborn, we won't feel too bad about the situation. Goose. So probably maybe Winota, Jund, something like that. So we drew the Zealot here, so we'll play the Zealot.
Go for...
Yeah, we'll play the Orborg.
We don't want to play them in Urborg, right? It could be Jund.
If they're Jund, it's going to look bad. But we definitely want to play the Orborg here. It's the best possible thing for us. Like I said, if we do, end up drawing into... It does make the Bright Climb now. We can play it on white, and it's white-black.
Right.
So it's just better. If we help their mana, we help their mana, but they do have a Goose anyway, so if they were missing black, they could get some black on the battlefield. Yeah. So it's not too bad. So looks like it's probably Winota. I guess it still could be Jund. We're still in a mystery.
Yeah.
It's not great. So we're going to play Sorin here, play the champion, and pray to God it's not a Winota. There could be an argument to throw the Zealot at the Innkeeper. I would do that if they only had 1 threat to attack with, but with 2, they're still going to trigger Winota whether we do that or not. So I would -3, put the champion in, and cross our fingers that it's not a turn 3 Winota for them. Yeah. Wow, we really do draw Sorins.
Yeah.
We've got Sorins. If we need them, we've got them. Use some more Edgars and Champions of the Dusk and Kalidases, but we'll see. Like I said, if it's a turn 3 Winota for them with 2 attackers, not really much we could do against that there.
Yeah.
Would have loved to have drawn like a push, Thoughtseize, something like that, some sort of interactive spell. Even a Murderous Rider would be even better.
Yep.
Pop for white. Looks like it's Winota.
Yep.
I guess now we're just crossing our fingers that they miss.
They missed twice in the top 14 cards there, or 12.
Even one hit and like an elite spellbinder or something would be like okay. As we're actually able to trade both creatures here. So like we're pretty much hoping not for Tovolar's Huntmaster.
Right.
If they hit anything like 2 regular humans, we're going to be able to brutal Cathar, brutal here.
Yeah. Always is, right?
There is something to be said here though. If they miss on the second trigger and they do take the champion, which it looks like they are, we can play a Sorin and throw the Legion at it and then get that trigger back for us. So it's not horrible here.
Yep. Okay. You're always very optimistic in these videos. I like it a lot. Oh, Kenrith.
that's not good for us.
No.
So yeah, we're not going to block. And pray to God that this Sorin play does something here, but we're looking far behind already. Turn 3 Winota, much better than turn 3 Sorin.
It's one of the few things that absolutely is, right?
So yeah, so we'll play a Sorin here. We won't play our land yet, just because we don't know what we're going to do. Going to play the Sorin, plus it, throw the Legion at the Brutal Cathar. Get back. What we're hoping to hit here is Fatal Push. We already have Revolt triggered, so we could hit the Winota and then try and battle through this Kenrith. Oh, all right. Wow. All right, so we'll play the Bright Climb. We can play it on white because we have the Orborg, and then we will push the Winota here. Kenrith is still a problem, but or at least keeping our head above water a little bit here.
Right.
They are able to do some very cool plays here. Land, Chariot, give that haste. Lots of good things they can do. But, we'll cross our fingers.
Yep, looks like that's what they're doing, exactly.
looks...
Oh.
Okay. It's not terrible. It's just one trigger. It does look like going Kenrith at Sorin?
Oh, right.
I wasn't able to see. Again, no Tovolar. That's all we're hoping for here. Brutal Cathar. Are they going after Sorin? Yes. So drawing all these Sorins is good again. Yeah. See what we draw here. Champion. So we're going to play Sorin, not tapping the Mutavault. We're going to... Exactly, yeah. We're going to fling the Mutavault. Have the same exact play as last time where we pray to God, we draw a Fatal Push. Pray to God, it's Fatal Push. But get the champion, Fatal Push. No. So that's it. We can pretty much scoop here. We're dead. It's important to note that we did almost get through a turn 3 Winota 2 triggers.
Yeah.
We weren't crazy far away. So we'll bring in the cage, the nice Winota hoser there.
Yeah.
The part about this deck is that actually a lot of the cards we have are good in the Winota matchup. But the one card that is glaringly bad is the Sorin the Mirthless. It's not helping us do very much in this matchup. There aren't very many other good cards here. The other one is Crippling Fear that we do want to bring in, as it's like a one-sided board wipe, as I was saying in the intro to the deck. But we do have a lot of cards that are good and we don't really want to take out. But I normally in these situations shave on a Knight of the Ebon Legion. Okay. It most of the time isn't doing very much for us. So I normally just shave on one of those and I go in like this. There's arguments to be made to bring in the Necromancia, just because we could name Winota, but I do think that that's a little bit slow in the matchup. And the Heartless Act is the other one I would consider bringing in, as it hits Winota and allows us to kind of deal with it that way. So we could bring that in also. But again, it's it's kind of scary because we don't want to take away too many creatures out of the deck, because then we're a little bit slower and we're on the play this game.
Right.
So I would probably keep it out in this game, but I would bring it in on game 3 if we get there.
Yeah.
So this is a great hand. We're able to go turn 1 Knight, turn 2 Gifted Aetherborn, and then turn 3 Thoughtseize. So you want to resist the urge to Thoughtseize on turn 1 because it doesn't really matter what they play on turn 1 or 2. You're just trying to nab a Winota or Chariot depending on how their hand is put together.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, we want to get our creatures online. We want to be able to start attacking and pressuring their life total. We're not a control deck, so we can't just, interact with them and then hope to kind of overpower them. So you want to play either the castle or the Godless Shrine, and then play the Gifted Aetherborn.
Yeah, okay.
And then attack. They won't block, that's for sure.
Then next turn we're going for a Thoughtseize.
Yeah, next turn we're going to Thoughtseize, because that's the turn that matters. Even if they Spellbinder here, we can still cast Thoughtseize, so we don't really have anything to worry about here.
Mm-hmm.
They will take Edgar. It's going to make Edgar a 6-drop, which, yes, is bad for us. But we do have attackers. We'll be able to kind of push through. We'll just pray to God that their hand is reliant on 1 card versus like 2 Winotas or Chariot and Winota.
Yeah.
So we'll play the Godless Shrine tap, since we don't really need to take the damage here.
Okay. We don't want to play a Mutavault?
I mean, I don't think we'll attack with it. It's probably better next turn to activate the Knight than it is to attack with the Mutavault. Thoughtseize. Okay. I would say we'll take the Brutal Cathar and pray to God they don't draw the second white source.
Okay, yeah. Yep.
And we'll swing both in here. We will trade our Knight for the Spellbinder if that's what they'd like to do. We're already winning on life, as the Gifted Aetherborn has lifelink. Well, they're willing to trade. So we do get burned here if they draw the second white source, as they'll be able to play the Skyclave and eat the Knight. If they don't, they're just going to play a Voice of Resurgence here, and we're able to attack through that with no problems. They draw an Elvish Mystic, which is good, and another land, so now they're 1 away from Tovolar's Huntsmaster, so pretty good for them. Here we're just attacking and activating the Knight. We can play the Mutavault too. So we're in a bad spot. They're a land away from casting the Huntsmaster, and they're they have the white source for the Skyclave. So both plays are going to be pretty bad for us.
Oh, I didn't pump the Knight.
It's all right. Play the Mutavault. Pass the turn. Instead, we'll draw a card here. It's not all bad.
Yeah. Could draw a Crippling Fear. Oh, there's the Tovolar.
Yeah. There's the Tovolar. So they've drawn very well.
Still not terrible, right?
Huh?
Crippling Fear is still not terrible top deck, right?
Not terrible. Not good, but not terrible. Well,
That's not a Crippling Fear.
No. I mean, we'll play the champion here. I'll have to play the castle first.
Yep.
Play the champion here. Another champion. We'll pass the turn. we're not in horrible position, but if they just play nothing and flip the Tovolar, then it's bad. We need to draw something quickly so that they don't play more and more wolves. But right now they can really only attack with the Tovolar, and our life total is not that bad. So I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to flip the Tovolar here, and it's going to put the incentive on us to cast either 2 spells or find a removal spell for it. So it's not terrible. We could play 2 spells here. So we'll play both Gifted Aetherborns. And we'll play the Bright Climb on black, as we only ever need 1 white source.
Right, okay.
Sure. So this is good for us. They can attack next turn with the Tovolar. The Tovolar flips back. And again, they're incentivized not to play a spell.
We're not swinging in with this champion, right?
No. We're like pretty much trying to turtle up here a little bit until we can get that Tovolar off the battlefield or draw Crippling Fear or something like that. Like I said, we're not in a good spot. They're a Winota away from just absolutely crushing us. Spellbinders, whatever. It sucks, but...
What do we have to deal with Tovolar? Murderous Rider?
Murderous Rider, that's it.
Okay.
It's not good. We're trying to kind of keep them away from doing that and getting to that, or having a board presence that's better than that. Fatal Push is whatever here. We'll play the Edgar. And then we can actually attack with 1 of the Gifted Aetherborns here. Gain us a little bit of life, and they do have to trade 2 things for it.
Right.
So yeah, so we'll kill that. They're looking to get a nice fat Voice of Resurgence token, but it's not bad for us. We're gonna kill both. It has Death Touch, so we're gonna kill both. We're gonna kill both of them. Yep. It's not that bad. It seems a little bit bad, but again, it makes Crippling Fear better for us. It means that if we do draw it, we can clean up the Voice instead of leaving behind a token and the Tovolar.
Yeah.
But we need to gain some life because they can just keep attacking with the Elite Spellbinder and kind of whittle us away that way. So we do have to force some action. So yeah, now they're going to play the Skyclave. They're going to eat the Gifted Aetherborn.
Not the Edgar.
The Edgar. All right. It's surprising. The Gifted Aetherborn just keeps everything away from attacking except for the Spellbinder. So I'm surprised.
Yeah.
So land's not terrible. It allows us to play the champion here. So.
Oh, are we already there? 7?
Yeah, we're already there. We're already there.
2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Oh, okay.
Age is all right. It does help us in that Winota spot, but we're in a weird spot. They're able to put us to 4, and if they alpha everything, they can try and push through those extra points of damage if they draw something here like that. So now we're dead.
Yeah.
Yes, we lost the match, but what was important to take away from it was that we were able to kind of keep up with a turn 3 Winota with 2 attackers, and in this game we were actually able to kind of stay a little bit ahead, even though they had a Tovolar, which was also very good for us. our draw didn't come together all that well, but we were still like,
it was never going to.
It didn't seem like it, but we were getting closer and closer. Looking at the draws, it wasn't that close, but we were getting closer and closer to building a board that was like very competitive with theirs, and with having the cage meant that we didn't have to worry about Winota. What we were really lacking there was a Sorin, something to like make something big and gain us some life.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't. We weren't that far out of it as it looked like we were. But it's definitely not a great matchup for us.
All right, found match 3.
On the play, another good start to it.
We are against the Dodds.
The Dodds. All right, good hand. Turn 1 interaction spell, turn 3 Sorin, good vampire to put in, and a catch-all removal spell. Can't really ask for much more than that.
All right.
So we'll keep it. Definitely hoping for a creature deck here, as Kalidas, Push, Murderous Rider will all look really, really good in that matchup there. Control matchup will look a little bit bad. But we'll hope for that. We'll play a Bright Climb Pathway on the other side and pass the turn. All right. Possibly a deck that we can use a Fatal Push here.
Yeah, I wonder if...
Oh, good draw.
Yeah.
So we'll play out the Dusk Legion Zealot here.
Off the
Mutavault.
Mutavault?
Yeah, Mutavault. I mean, there is a world where maybe we attack with it next turn.
Mm-hmm.
Another Mutavault. So, no land yet. They might play it second main phase.
Yeah, that was my question. When you play a Takenuma turn 1, it's usually your only land, right? Your only black source at least.
Yeah, it could be your only black land. So here we're definitely gonna play one of the Mutavaults, and we're gonna play the Sorin and downtick for the Kalidas. Had they played a land and maybe like a creature or something, there would have been an argument not to put out the Kalidas until we could Kalidas plus Fatal Push, just to get some sort of value for it. But it's very unlikely that they're going to be able to kill the Kalidas before we untap here and get some value for it, if they even play anything for us to kill. I guess there is a world they could be playing red-black, draw a Fabled Passage off the top, crack it, Fatal Push. But a lot of things need to go right for them there. Another black. Not sure. I think they'll probably be on the mid-range, red-black mid-range deck, but double black is a little bit strange. So we'll plus on the Legion Zealot here. Just to incentivize having like 2 decent threats here. They just concede. So we don't know what they're playing. I'm
gonna put them on red-black mid-range.
Yeah, that's where I'm gonna put them too. But it could, be mono black something. Who knows? But we'll sideboard as if they're red-black mid-range and hope that works for us there. The Blood Baron is hit or miss. If they're a version with like 3 Chandra Torch of Defiance, it's not going to look that good. But most of the other removal isn't going to work on it. So we're still going to bring it in. But it's definitely something we could consider like reboarding out if their version plays like the Chandras, or even the new 1 mana red removal spell. I think it's Voltage Surge. Yeah. Voltage Surge. We could, consider taking it out. We're not positive what kind of other like version they are. Other cards that could be good in the matchups are Go Blank, Heartless Act, Duress, even Rest in Peace, depending on how like graveyard centric they are. So I don't want to make any crazy like bold choices since we're not positive what they're doing. So I would remove just a Knight of the Ebon Legion here. We can pretty much predict that they're going to have fatal pushes.
Right.
So they're going to be able to kind of invalidate that card for us. So we'll submit like this, but there's a lot of cards that we could bring in depending on kind of what we see from them there. Generally, we have a good matchup against the like red-black mid-range decks, as we're kind of a similar deck, doing the same things as they are. This is a good hand. We're missing the Sorin, but we do have the Thoughtseize. We have a Fatal Push. We have some threats. So, good hand. In the dark here, I'm incentivized to lead on the Fatal Push. We still don't know what they're doing. It would be worse here to play, a Knight, get it Fatal Pushed, and then they can slam something or whatever. I want to see what they're playing. If they happen to be on like the Anvil deck, we can maybe snag an Anvil here.
No, it's red-black mid-range.
Yeah, looks like the mid-range here. We have an answer for the Harvester, so I think we're okay there. I think it's between Fable of the Mirror Breaker or the Graveyard Trespasser.
Yeah.
Both of them are really hard for us to interact with. But I'm going to go with the Fable. I think it's just going to be way too much card advantage for them. And the Graveyard Trespasser is hard for us to kill, but we can actually block it very well with the Gifted Aetherborn, the Champion, and the Edgar. So what we're really hoping to draw here is another black source, so that we could go like Fatal Push, Knight, or Gifted Aetherborn, something like that. If we're stuck at doing one thing here, not as good.
Yeah.
But we're gonna play it because we want to be able to either play the Gifted Aetherborn or not next turn. I think we're just gonna Fatal Push. I don't think our Fatal Push is getting much better than on the Harvester. We can just pass the turn and do it on their turn. I don't think there's a reason to do it here. But yeah, I don't think it's getting better than this Harvester. We don't have many ways, especially in our hand, to revolt it and hit the Trespasser. So at this point, we're just going to kind of hope to trade with the Trespasser.
It's a hot Blood Crypt.
That's a very nice Blood Crypt.
Oh,
wow. There we go. So now the Fatal Push probably would be better to have. We could hit the token there. That's a good draw. We're going to play the Gifted. They had a...
oh, right.
They had a Dreadbore, right? Yeah, we'll still play the Gifted Aetherborn. If they Dreadbore the Gifted Aetherborn, it means that Kalitas might be able to stick around, which is just better. But they do get to discard 2 cards here, draw 2 cards. So we're, not in a great spot. Fabled the Mirror Breaker, drawing another one after we Thoughtseized it as the classic.
Yeah.
It's going to give them a lot of card advantage, like I was saying when we took it. And it's a must-answer threat for us, too. They threw away another Harvest. No, just the Extinction Event.
Yeah.
All right. So we know 2 of the 3 cards in their hand? Or 1 of the 3
so we
cards?
we know the Dreadbore, we know the Graveyard Trespasser, and that's
it. All right. Yeah, so we know the 2 cards that are left in their hand. The Fatal Push is bad for us here. Now it means that they can use the Dreadbore on our Kalitas. What we do need to do is draw land. That's first and foremost.
A white land would be good here, right?
Um,
They can never
yes.
exile.
Yeah, they'll never be able to exile the Edgar.
Hmm.
Thoughtseize is like not terrible. It's not good, but it's not terrible. It takes the Dreadbore. We can play the Knight and hope that next turn we draw the land and get to play the Kalidas. Obviously, in this time, we also need them to draw absolutely nothing, so it's not good, but we have a line at least. So we're going to be taking 5 or 6 here, depending on if they want to exile their own creature.
Right, off of Trespasser.
Yeah. It's going to put us to 7. Next turn, they're going to be able to make 2 Trespassers.
Trespasser's going to flip, too.
So they are going to eat their own creature here. Going to 7. Kind of hope they play something. I don't even know what they could play that is not relevant. But it's going to flip. All right, so we drew the white land, which is actually good here. We can play it. Can we survive? Yeah, so we can play it. We can play it on the white, and we can play Edgar. And what we can do is we can chump the token and trade with the actual Trespasser. Or they have something. Kolagon's Command? Stomp. All right, so yeah, now we're dead. So we'll make them have it here.
Okay.
We'll make them see it. Sorry. They have to exile the Knight, and they have to make a copy of the Trespasser. So we'll see. I'm pretty sure they'll see it. Stomp, definitely a good draw there. If not, I'm not saying that we were back in the game, but we definitely had a shot.
Copied the Bone Crusher Giant. Oh, right, it has haste. Yeah.
So they have to exile the Knight here to kill us. I think they will, but
no reason not to, right?
No reason not to, but they got to do it. All right, so we can concede.
All right. So now we know what we're up against for sideboarding.
Yeah, now we know Now we know 100%. It doesn't necessarily change too much. We want the Heartless Act.
Okay.
As a little bit more removal. The Crippling Fear looks a lot better here too for us. As pretty much everything they have dies to the 3/3. So we'll bring the Crippling Fear in, and I think we'll leave the Fracture out, but there's an argument to be made that it can hit the Fabled Mirror Breaker and their Planeswalkers, which we can pretty much assuredly say that they have. But I don't know if that's a positive interaction for us. So I think we're just gonna go this way here with it. We can shave on a Legion, as it's like our worst 2-drop creature, and we can shave on a Fatal Push since we brought in the Heartless Act, which is just a better removal spell versus them. And we will go back this way. The Go Blanks look like they might be good, but they're really not. They're not very graveyard centric, and they're mostly going to be playing spells at like the similar pace that we're playing. This is a fantastic hand. We're going to keep this hand. So we're able to go turn 1 Thoughtseize and clear a path for our Sorin, and next turn play the Gifted Aetherborn, Sorin into the champion, and that's pretty much the best start that we could have.
Double Fable.
Double Fable. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the Fatal Push, so it doesn't give them a good turn 1 play here. Yeah. And it pretty much lets our Gifted Aetherborn hopefully survive. It allows us to draw 2 cards when we play the champion. Important, we need to play the castle here, not the Mutavault.
Right.
Play the Gifted Aetherborn. So now we have to hope that they don't draw some sort of Thoughtseize or removal spell for the Gifted Aetherborn. Hopefully they just play the Blood Tithe and we get to Sorin, draw 2 cards, put a 4/4 onto the battlefield. And that's kind of our Fable.
Looks like it, yep.
Perfect. They do have 2 Fables, so they have a lot of ways to kind of catch up and kind of deal with our game plan that we have going on. But we're going to have to hope that this is good enough. We'll play the Mutavault. And we will Sorin and downtick to put the champion in.
Yeah. All right.
So drawing Fatal Push, good too here. It allows us to have a removal spell. Another champion's very good. Be able to refill that hand once we empty it out again.
Are we offering this?
No. We'll probably just block with the champion if they try and make an attack. I don't think they will. Good part about champion too is that he's a 5-drop, not a 4-drop, so they can't like suicide the harvester in to like Fatal Push the champion afterwards or something like that.
Right.
So Haunted Ridge we didn't know about.
Right.
So that means we don't know 1 card? Yeah, because we know the Blood Crypt is already on the battlefield, so it's 1 card that we don't know about. So Dreadbore is the worst case scenario here for us.
That's the 1 card we didn't know about.
Yeah, so it's good here. The Hive probably is the one that they played, right? So there is still 1 card we don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. So it could be like a Fatal Push or something. But no attacks. Good here for us. Oh, Knight, another really good draw here. So we can plus on the champion. Yeah, we'll plus on the champion. Swing it in. They don't have a removal spell for this champion, so they pretty much like are incentivized to like double block it, and we can blow them out with the Fatal Push here. But we're pretty much hoping that they take 5. We could play the Knight. The Knight grows, and we can hold up the Fatal Push.
Whoop! Just swinging with the champion, right?
No, we'll swing also with the Aetherborn. I think we need to put pressure on their life total. And if they want to trade here, I don't think it's that bad for us since we have the Knight to follow up with. If we didn't have the Knight, we'd maybe keep it back so that we could definitely guarantee our Sorin safe. But the Knight here means that they need to have like double removal spell to get through to kill like the Mutavault and the Knight, and we still have the Fatal Push. So we're good here. So we let this trade happen.
Okay.
They take 5, we gain 5. We play the Knight. The Knight is going to grow. And we'll actually play the Castle here because it allows us to activate the Mutavault and use Fatal Push in case, like I said, they have double removal spell and they attack that Blood Harvester in, which we really don't. We really don't want to lose Sorin here. Sorin's like our path to victory. Mm-hmm. It's going to gain a bunch of life, and it's going to force them to deal with like each creature that we have on the battlefield. So we didn't know about that. So they have one card we don't know about. Rough. But it's not terrible, so they're kind of like not using their mana proper, like the best they possibly can here. They're leaving a lot of like mana on the battlefield, so we're able to Fatal Push at the end of this turn,
right,
on the Blood Harvester, and
throw down a champion if we want.
Yeah, exactly. So we're able to attack them here for 7. The Night grows. We have a champion, and we draw 3 cards here. So we'll Fatal Push end of turn. And again, Fable the Mirror Breaker is a really strong card, but it's a lot stronger when you're not behind on the board.
Right.
Wow, another champion. So take 2 here.
Play it out first?
We can play it out. We know the 3 cards in their hand, so it's not like
right. Okay.
They're going to be able to make some sort of fancy play that we did this before combat or anything like that. I mean, at most they can activate a blood token here, draw a Fatal Push, and hit the Knight, but I think they were incentivized to do that anyway.
Takenuma.
So it doesn't look like they drew the Fatal Push here. And we drew some goodies. So we attack for 7 here. The Knight's going to grow. And pretty much all of our threats are good. And if their best play next turn is like Fable the Mirror Breaker, they're still in chump block duty with it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so maybe they did. No, I thought they drew the Fatal Push. I was like, I might have done that beforehand. How many cards do they have in the graveyard?
They have
4, so they're not able. They're not able to play it. I'm crazy. I still don't think it's good enough.
Roxa?
Yeah. If that's what they spent.
It's been a one of in the version I've been playing.
Very good card, but I don't think it's good enough here for them. They would still die. On board.
You're saying right?
Yeah, I still think it's a very good card. I just don't think it's good enough here. Even if that was the case, decent. But we know their last 2 cards are Fable, which means they have to chump block with the Fable token. So yeah, they're not even going to try and do that. They're just going to concede.
Oh, that was game 3, right?
That was game 3. No, game 3. They beat us game 2. Yeah, game 3.
We're into match 4.
Match 4. Here we go. Not on the play. Already behind.
Concede?
Yeah, we don't want them to know what we're playing. Good hand. Very good hand here. It has a Sorin, has something to put in, has some interaction. Again, hoping more creature deck than not, but the Thoughtseize does help out if it's a non-creature deck here. But Kalidas is definitely the weakest of. Whoa!
Wow!
Whoa!
Wow.
Whoa! Did we run into the mirror match? Holy crap!
Or it could be mono black aggro, right?
Would they play the
Knight
2-color lands? I don't know.
Oh, right. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no chance.
Yeah, we're gonna Fatal Push here, but we're not gonna do it now.
Okay.
We're gonna want to Thoughtseize before their turn 3 for the best shot of hitting their Sorin. Sorin's by far the most important card in the matchup, especially in the mirror matchup. And we don't really mind. We'll take the hit here, just because 1 doesn't really change anything for us. And if they play something
like Aetherborn.
Yeah, exactly. We want to probably tag that more than we want to. So Thoughtseize here. We'll Fatal Push. We're good here because they can't take both Sorins, but they can take the Thoughtseize and land their own Sorin.
Right.
Or but
Kalidas.
If they take the Kalidas, it's not that bad. It allows us to Thoughtseize back, and we still have like Sorin and the possibility of drawing a vampire, you're more likely to draw a vampire than you are to draw, another Sorin or something like that.
Yeah.
So we'll play the Godless Shrine here tapped and pass the turn. But they took the Thoughtseize, which makes me think they have the turn 3 Sorin.
Mm-hmm.
And if they do that with their own Champion of the Dusk, we're probably very far behind. Mutavault also very good. Sorin, Champion. Oh, plus. All right. So we're still here.
Mutavault.
Yeah,
Sorin?
we'll play our own Mutavault, and we'll Sorin, and we'll downtick and put the Kalidas onto the battlefield. So they can have a very, very good turn if what they have here is like Fatal Push. They can throw the Mutavault at our Sorin, Fatal Push the Kalidas, and have some sort of follow-up that they can maybe plus or something like that. But
It's like it.
We're okay here. They could just be plussing, and because it has Death Touch, like they don't want us to like block. But we're gonna just let our Sorin die. We have another one, so we don't have to worry too much about this, and we can actually have like a very good play here. Oh, did he do the newly controlled one? Oh, he did the newly controlled one. That's why he wrote in chat. Yeah, so this is we've done it a few times through the thing where I've said, really make sure you're not doing the newly controlled one. It's for this exact reason, is that you end up not being able to attack here. So what we're going to do here is we are going to plus on our Kalidas and attack his Sorin. We'll play Castle Lochthwain afterwards, and we'll hold up the ability to either block with our Mutavault or draw a card with Castle Lochthwain, depending on what they do.
Okay.
If they fire up one Mutavault next turn, attack Sorin, we could try and keep our Sorin alive by like throwing away the Mutavault. If they attack with both, we could just let it die, draw a card. We're all good there. Yeah, so we'll just let Sorin die here. It's going to die no matter what, and there's no reason to throw away a Mutavault. More than likely, yeah, they're going to plus on the other one. What's good here is that we do get to kill their Sorin back.
They're both we get to draw a card.
Yep. So just let it go. We'll draw a card. Oh, Knight's pretty good. Gifted Aetherborn also pretty good.
Oh right, because we're getting the 4 in.
Yeah.
Or are we killing Sorin?
Yeah. We're gonna kill Sorin. Again, it's the most important card in the matchup. So we can just attack with the Sorin.
Do we?
We don't need to play it beforehand.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to die no matter what. I think what's going to be better for us is playing out the Gifted Aetherborn and the Knight here instead of playing the Sorin. And then play the Swamp. If we played the Sorin and one of the creatures, they could still get to Sorin again with like just a Fatal Push or something like that. And chances are they have probably like a Fatal Push, and they just haven't been able to revolt it to get the Kalidas off the battlefield. So this is good for us that they're drawing a card here. It means that they don't have much. They, for some reason, tapped all... Oh, they have Orborg. I was like, they tapped all their swamps. So they still have the ability to use Fatal Push or something like that. Dusk Legion's pretty good here. I would lead on the Dusk Legion. just because if we draw like a champion or something like that, then we'll want to play the Sorin.
Right. Okay.
So nothing here. So we can just attack here, threatening to use the knight.
Right. This too?
Yep. Yeah, we'll
right,
attack with
they can
everything
only
here.
Stand up one Mutavault.
Yeah, that's it. So if they fire it up, block the knight, then we'll activate the knight. If they don't, we'll just okay, see what they do. They're gonna trade here, so that's fine.
We're not pumping the knight.
What does that put them to? That puts them to 7. No, we'll put the Sorin down.
Okay.
So we'll let that go. The knight's still going to grow this turn, and we get to put the Sorin down. We'll plus on the.
We only ever need one white source.
That's all right. We'll plus on the knight. Chances are we're gonna throw the Dusk Legion at something.
Right. Okay.
Then we are going to attack with it. It's only going to be a 2/2, so it still dies to the Mutavault. Like if that, they're going to leave that to block. So more than likely, we'd rather throw it at something. So they got a Sorin.
Let's see what it is.
Okay.
Champion.
Strange. I don't know what they have here. Yeah, see, perfect. So we're going to be throwing that, yeah. We would have thrown the Legion at the Gifted Aetherborn, attacked with the Kalidas and the Knight. They're forced to chump. We get another token, and the game pretty much runs away from there.
Yeah.
Blood Baron, best card in this matchup by like a mile. There's absolutely no way for them to kill it. So there's no better thing than putting it in on turn 3. You're going to bring in Heartless Act here, and probably Duress, just because getting Sorin is just that important. Here, things to take out. Since we're on the draw, I would take out 2 Knights, as more than likely they're going to be able to kind of stonewall the Knight a little bit more than that. And I normally take out a champion. Okay. He does seem really, really good, but drawing cards isn't necessarily that important in this game. It's more about just getting threats on the battlefield, answering some things. So we'll submit from here.
There's no reason for fracture?
It's super narrow. It really only hits Sorins. They might not even be playing Sorin the Mirthless. It has fallen a bit out of favor, so it's like a 1 card to answer 4 cards in their deck. Yes, Sorin's really, really important, but that's why I like the Duress over the Fracture, as I'd rather get it before it does something. Yeah. Then once it's on the battlefield, he puts a Dusk, a Champion of the Dusk, and then they draw their cards anyway, and we're just answering a Sorin. This is a good hand. It allows us to Thoughtseize on turn 1 or push something on turn 1. We don't have a Swamp for the castle, but we do have 2 1-drops, so we're still able to make a play on turn 1 and turn 2.
Hive.
So we'll play the Hive here, and we'll pass the turn. We'll make a very similar play to last game, where we'll take the 1, see what the 2-drop they play is, and then try to nab the Sorin on turn 3. So we'll hit the Knight here as the Legion's the worst creature in the deck.
Is there not another slot for that? Has anyone tried anything fun?
There are better creatures, but the drawing of the card is very important.
Yeah.
Oh, this is very good. So we'll Thoughtseize here before playing our land. And if we need to use 2 Thoughtseizes, we'll play the Bright Climb on the other side. And if we don't, then we'll play the castle. So they have a Sorin and a Thoughtseize. So yeah, we're going to have to double Thoughtseize here. So take Thoughtseize and then take Sorin. So we lose our white source here, but we really want our Sorin badly. So take Sorin. Leaves them with a Fatal Push, which doesn't do very much right now, and it leaves them with a Knight, but we can kill the Knight, so we don't have to worry too much about that. So they drew the estate this turn. They play the Knight.
Fatal Push in hand.
Yeah. They're going to fire up. Important, they're not able to hit us for 4 here, so our their Knight doesn't grow. So this turn we're going to play the Mutavault, and we're actually going to pass. We're not going to play the Sorin. The Sorin will just die on the crackback.
Yeah.
And this allows us to block the Mutavault or the Dusk Legion, and still Heartless Act the Knight also.
Right, yeah.
I think they're just going to attack with the... Oh, with both? Oh, no. Okay. All right, so we just let this happen. We pass the priority to them to see if they're going to... so you want to put a stop in damage. Because they're going to have to tap out to do it. Which they are. They did it before damage. And now we can Heartless Act. No counters. So this is great for us now. It means that we can slam our Sorin next turn, plus it, even if we have no creature, and we're still able to keep it alive on the crackback. That's really good.
So are we dropping it with Sorin or just casting Kalidas?
We're just going to cast Kalidas here.
Okay.
Yeah. If we do it with Sorin,
we still
it allows us...
Swamp. Now we do.
Yeah, if we do it with Sorin, we give them an out to like revolt, kill it, kill the Sorin. Here, even if they do revolt and Fatal Push it, we still have a Sorin this way.
Right, and we know
if we had
Fatal Push.
Yeah, if we had a Fatal Push or something like that in our hand, then yes, we would do it because we'd still be able to get like some sort of value out of it. But there's no reason to do that now. So yeah, now we'll play the Sorin here. Not tapping the Mutavault.
Plussing Kalidas and passing?
Nope. So what we'll do is we'll actually activate the Mutavault here and plus on the Mutavault.
Okay, right. Yep.
So it forces them to use that Fatal Push if that's what they want to do. But I don't think they will, and then we're just not going to attack. So we're going to plus on it. If they kill it in response, then we will attack with Kalidas. If not, we're just not attacking with anything. Just pass. So if we attack, they're able to block with the Dusk Legion and then trigger Revolt and kill the Kalidas, which we don't want.
Yeah, yeah. Keeping the Fatal Push.
Yeah. So this is good for them. They're going to be able to activate Revolt here, which is annoying. But at least we make them throw away whatever card they draw here, which I think they drew something they want to cast, which is good. So drawing a little bit of lands here. We're looking for one more like really nice spell.
We have one lock playing down.
Oh, here we go. So they drew something that they prefer to cast and get rid of the Kalidas. All right. Did they play a land this turn? They didn't, so they can still play a land and Thoughtseize or something. but they won't be able to kill the Kalitas here. So that's important to note. They found a land, so it's a little bit worse for us. Fatal Push is good for us. So we can play the castle. We can plus on the Kalitas. And we can activate the Hive and attack, leaving up a black so that we can Fatal Push.
We're just swinging with the Hive?
Yep, just with the Hive, yeah. We don't want them to be able to Fatal Push without having to use the blood token on their own turn.
Mm-hmm.
Did they Fatal Push that?
Yes.
Okay. Sure. Makes me think that they have another one.
We're gonna.
We're just gonna keep ours here.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Makes me think that they have another one because next turn they could get the Kalitas off the board and like come in and attack our Sorin here. So they threw away Hive. They must have a Fatal Push. If they Fatal Push, we'll push in response to get our 2/2. Yeah. So they had another one. We'll push the Legion. We get a 2/2 here, and they still can't kill the Sorin, so that's good. All right. They are drawing better than us. So they can attack here. Fine.
That's Sorin?
Yep, it's fine. Sorin doesn't die. We're able to pump our Mutavault, swing it in. Oof. We're able to pump our Mutavault here, swing the Mutavault in. Hopefully it's not another push. We attack here. Gain 4, play out the Orborg. Oh.
Now we can't draw a card off Lockthwain.
Yeah, it's alright. Here again, if they don't have a removal spell to be able to kill... Sorin's really good. If they didn't draw anything like relevant, to get the Sorin off the battlefield, they would have had to swing everything in, which means we could have let Sorin die, but also eat the Dusk Legion. And like we're still kind of winning the race. Now they're able to do a lot more here. They gain some life. They're able to attack. We just take it. Now we have to draw something like a Fatal Push. That'll be good for us. Not a land. So we're definitely going to attack here. Everything at the Sorin. You can still activate the Mutavault here. Everything at the Sorin, they're forced to either chump block or trade with the zombie token to keep Sorin alive, unless they drew a removal spell.
Okay, yeah.
Not good. They're winning this race. They can keep Sorin alive, like I said. Oh, God.
Soul Shatter.
I think we get to choose the zombie here.
Yeah, because they're both the same mana value.
Yeah, they're both the same mana value, so that's not terrible. It's not good, but it's not terrible. All right. Sorin down to 1. Next turn, they'll be able to plus on one of their creatures, which I'm assuming is going to be the Champion of the Dusk. Attack us for 5. They gain 5. but we force them into like a chump block situation with the Mutavault if they want to keep Sorin alive. We get to draw a card off Castle Locthwain here, but we are falling a bit behind. Okay, they're drawing. They are attacking.
Yeah.
So hopefully we draw some sort of removal spell here. Sorin would be good. Land, definitely not.
Oh my
Another
god.
land. So yeah, we'll just concede here.
Right.
We're actually dead, no matter what. But they would have to see that.
Right, with flinging.
Yeah, they attack. They attack with both. We have to block the champion. Then they fling the Mutavault at us after it hits.
Can we just bring in a Crippling Fear and name goblins?
I mean, like we could. I don't think that's what we want to do. So here, what we're actually going to do is we're going to take out the duress, and we're going to take out a Sorin the Mirthless. We're going to bring in our champion, and we're going to bring in another knight, and we're going to try and be a bit more of the aggressive deck since we're on the play this time.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
I guess we won't be the aggressive deck. No. It's a keeper. We're going to be able to play a knight, and then we could double Thoughtseize the turn after, which will actually grow the knight. So that's a...
If a player. Wow.
Yeah.
I never realized that line.
Yeah, you can do it too with like a Thoughtseize and a Shockland.
Yeah.
You're able to do that. A little bit of a turbo knight. So definitely Fatal Push is the worst possible thing for us here. It's very possible that they have a Fatal Push. They have a Thoughtseize, so this is still very good for us. They're incentivized to take the champion, just because they can't really poke holes in our Thoughtseize plan here.
Right.
Wow. So they have something they really care about, but we're still able to make the knight play here, so we just have to play the Godless Shrine, untap, take the 2, and Thoughtseize. So we're pretty much going to be on the this knight needs to carry us plan.
Sorins.
It's not that bad. So what we want to do here is we want to take the Murderous Rider, and we're just going to try and be like much bigger than them with our knight. So our knight's going to grow to a 2/3 here, and the next turn we can grow it again. And then they can't even Sorin like throw their knight at it. So then they're like in this chump blocking duty to be able to keep those Sorins alive. Obviously, they can draw like a lot of things here. They can Sorin in a Blood Baron or a champion or something like that. They could draw Fatal Push, and our plans get blown up here. But we're pretty much on the. This is fine.
How do we grow it again next turn?
We'll just tap 3. But if they chump, it comes out to the same thing. So if they chump,
right.
If they chump, they still can't play Sorin and throw it at us. So like both of them are good for us. So we would rather them chump here, so we're gonna attack. See if they block. If they don't block, we'll just grow it. Yeah, we'll just grow it here. So now it grows. They can't throw it down, and now we have this Fatal Push 2 to clear the way if their play here is just like Sorin plus. So we're pretty much hoping they didn't draw some sort of creature to put in.
Like a champion? Sorin plus.
This is fine for us.
If we draw a land, we're in a pretty good spot. spot.
Yeah, if we draw land, really good. Even without the land, it's not terrible. I'm not sure what this play is here. So this is great. We're just going to Fatal Push it. And we're just going to attack. Face. Yeah. And we're attacking them. We're going straight face here. We know they have another Sorin in hand, which also doesn't do anything. Like, they're pretty much like Fatal Push or bust here. So we've got a lot of good draws. Pretty much everything is a good draw. Land lets us play the champion. Any other creature allows us to diversify threats. And Sorin is just great. Wow. So what's good here is we can activate the Mutavault and attack with it. We don't need to plus the Knight, as it's already a lethal attacker.
Let's see.
It must have drawn it, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is still good. It forces them again to draw something.
And we just need to draw a Sorin and fling our Mutavault.
Yeah. Sorin is just the best draw that we have. But like, they have some good draws here too. Wow, they just didn't draw anything. They have some good draws too. Probably like underrated draw for them would have been like Dusk Legion. Just because they could play it, draw a card, throw it at us, gain 3 life, and then kind of like try and like chain that way away too. But
yeah.
Good. So we did exactly what I wanted to do, which was be the aggressive deck when we were on the play, and we rode a Knight of the Ebon Legion all the way.
Yeah, sometimes it just happens like that.
All right, round 5.
Yeah, we're on the draw.
Here we go, on the draw. It's all right, it worked out last game.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Jesus. This is like borderline. It's not good. Every part of me wants to keep it, as we have like the draw step and the Dusk Legion Zealot that can draw another card, but we really don't have anything going on. So we'll mulligan here, but there's sake to be said. This is actually good. We'll keep this. We'll throw back Edgar. We don't necessarily have an ability to cast him right now, so we'll let it go. We're hoping to draw a Swamp or like Godless Shrine, something that allows... Oh man, Cat Oven. So this isn't going to be great for us. Okay, Swamp is good. We're going to lead on Thoughtseize because we want to nab like Oven or Cult.
Yep, it's only one Anvil.
Okay, good. So we'll take that. They have another cat, so any Oven here is terrible for us.
Yeah.
But Harvester is very beatable, so we're okay with that. Harvester. Was that land in their hand? I don't remember seeing it. No, it wasn't. Oh, yeah, it was. Okay.
Yeah.
So we do not know the last card in their hand. See what we draw. We will play the Mutavault, and we'll play the Zealot. Another land. Drawing a lot of lands.
Yeah, that's been the theme of the night, huh?
Yeah, a lot of lands, but we're still 3-1, so...
Are we kind of counting Takenuma as a spell in our land count?
Oh, definitely. Right now we are.
Yeah.
Thoughtseize not good for us here. They get to take the champion. Now we're very, very, very far out of gas. Again, we're one oven away from kind of being in trouble here. But shockingly, wow, they took the knight. Sure, we'll take 3. I think they're just going to try and kill us quickly. Something. Thoughtseize. We don't know what's in their hand. So
No,
I guess we Thoughtseize it, but I mean, it's not great. But we'll do it anyway. We don't have any other plays here, so might as well. Hopefully, it's something good. All right. I mean,
sure.
That's why they didn't take the champion. All right. So pass the turn here. Again, we're not in a great spot, but we're not in a terrible spot. They do have the blood token, so they do have the ability to draw something good. I actually think that if I was in their situation, we'll trade with a cat here. Well, I will eat a cat, but it's probably a push that they drew.
Oh, right.
I mean, we have to do it. I mean, there's nothing that we can't do. So we'll kill a cat, trade with a cat, and pray to God. Okay, maybe not.
Well, yeah, right.
Maybe not a push. Okay. Something? Okay.
Not bad.
No, it's not terrible. It into push would be amazing. Push.
Let's go.
Oh my god, there we go. All right. No, don't push. If they draw a land, they're going to activate Den, and we'd rather push the Den than push the Harvester.
We played a land, yeah.
Yep. So we'll pass the turn here.
We can hard cast our champion next turn.
Yeah, and we really want to trade away our Zealot here. Not trade it away, just chump it away. Because we can't afford to take 3. Because then we'll actually just die to the champion's trigger. Right. So it doesn't look like doesn't look like they drew a land. So we're actually just gonna push the Harvester here.
Okay.
Had they drawn a land, we would have, but now we'll push the Harvester. Pray to God they drew nothing good. Kolagon's command.
Oh, right.
No.
I mean,
must be Mayhem Devil. Yeah. Not great. Knight, so we'll play out the Takanuma here. We'll play the champion. But we're getting to that danger zone here.
Yeah, they just need to rip a land.
It's not that bad.
Oh, wow.
Land. That's good.
That'll be really nice if we can untap.
Yeah, that's good. Not even a land here. Actually, we want them to draw land. Den doesn't really do anything for them. We can just eat the Den or eat the Mayhem Devil and chump the other one. That's really good. That has us like almost dead.
Right. Sure does.
Yeah. All right. I mean, we're playing Kalidas and playing the Knight, and oh yeah, they have an Orborg. No, they have an Orborg. You got saved. You got saved.
Thanks.
They have an Orborg.
Thanks, opponent.
And we're just crossing our fingers here that they do not have another way to sacrifice something, another Epicure. Like I said, land is the best possible thing that they could have. here. But I guess they probably just throw it away to the blood token.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like Thoughtseize, terrible draw for them. They're going to shoot us.
Shoot us. All right. Let's see.
Land. They haven't drawn one in a bit. They're not slamming something.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
I know. Okay. Wow. Good draws. All right, so we're attacking with Kalidas right off the bat here. That's first things first. We're swinging with it. Yeah, just Kalidas. If we attack with too many things, they might be able to like fatal push us out or something like that. Perfect. Then we'll play Sorin, and we'll make a 2/3 flyer. Lifelink. And we're looking good.
Yeah.
Looking good.
That was one of the later turnarounds.
Yeah, still time for them there. This is the turn. They can still do some pretty good things. They could draw like an oven and kind of go off. And there we go. Perfect. Wow. All right.
So we have a pretty decent sideboard for this, right?
Yeah, we have a great sideboard for this matchup. Kalidas is like A1 in this matchup. It just pretty much shuts off a lot of things for them. So yeah, we're looking pretty good here. Cards that are important are Duress. The Blood Baron is going to be very, very hard for them to block, to interact with. Then the Fracture is really, really good here. We saw Anvils. We know we're going to assume they have ovens. They're probably a very stock Anvil list. Mm-hmm. The Cage is a consideration too, as it stops cat. But that's all it really does. It's not as good as it used to be in like those Jund matchups where they were playing like Citadel and things like that. So it's lost a little bit of its luster. Probably a better card is Rest in Peace than it, just because it does a lot of the same things, but it kind of hits some, other targets and stuff like that too. But I still don't think it's great. I would still probably stay with what we've got going on here. Again, the problem with vampires is that you do need to have a density of vampires for it to be good. So you can't cut too many things for too many cards. And we do have just a generally good main board for what they're trying to do. Again, here, you want to cut a Zealot. It's just bad. It's not able to get through anything, and the one card isn't that relevant. Another card to cut here is Fatal Push. It seems like it might be a good card. I would cut two of them, actually. But it's not that good. A lot of the creatures that they have, you don't really even want to be fatal pushing. Mm-hmm. And we don't have that many ways to enable Revolt, so it doesn't really deal with the Mayhem Devil. So you'd rather leave in the Murderous Riders than you would the fatal pushes.
Yeah.
So I'd go like this. Arguments could be made for cards like Crippling Fear and things like that. But I just don't think that their creatures are the problem. I think it's more they're like anvils and ovens that are going to do the most damage. So we want to be able to nab those with Thoughtseizes and Duresses and the Fracture. So we'll keep this hand. It's not great, but we have a Thoughtseize, and that could be good enough to kind of keep them a little bit off. We can do the same thing as last game where we nab like their only anvil. Mm-hmm. We can kind of create a board state where we can kind of get ahead. So lead on the Hive and Thoughtseize.
3 anvils.
What's the other card? Fatal Push? Oh my god. Jeez. Oh god. Yeah, I think we'll just take an anvil. I don't think that's good. But I don't really care about Fatal Push. The Knight's never getting through the Anvils anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So might as well just let them Fatal Push it. Did they have a land?
Oh, no. Yes.
They did not have a black land.
They didn't have a
Okay.
black land.
Okay. So maybe we could get away with that. They're gonna. They had it anyway. They just had it.
Yeah.
They were able to blood token too, which would have also been good. The good part here though is that they really only have the one token. So if we draw like a fatal push or something, we could hit that and then kind of put them in a situation where they have to anvil away their own anvil. We didn't, and we've drawn 2 lands off the top, so not good. But we'll play the knight. We know it's gonna die, and it's crazy to say, but we've fallen far behind, and we haven't even finished our turn 2. So they're going to be able to anvil here, sacking the construct, making 2 constructs.
Yeah.
And they're going to be able to kind of just...
life, draining 2 life.
Yeah. They're going to be able to kind of just go off now. So like next turn, they get 3, and then 4, and then 5. And so they just kind of keep multiplying them. Multiple anvils are very, very, very good. We'll just play a swamp, pass the turn, but I mean, we can attack, we can pass it. I really don't think many of these decisions matter at this point. I can't really think of a series of cards that can get us out of this. Maybe Fracture, and we can try and beat a 1 anvil here, but it's not good. Triple Anvil was definitely a opening 7 to keep.
Yeah.
I did like the I'm gonna keep Triple Anvil with only 1 with no black source. I did like that keep.
Yeah.
We'll play Edgar here. I mean,
that's just what you got to do.
Like we're like 4 turns away from dead just by the anvils, and they have other things they can do too.
Yeah, do we? Or do we just conceding?
I mean, we could concede. I don't think we need to do it for clock purposes, but we could just concede here. Like I said, we could technically try and like get the fracture and then try and like get ahead of them. There is a world that could work. If they kill the Edgar here, actually, that's good for us. I don't know if that was right. Interesting. Okay. We're not conceding. The Edgar is going to make life linkers.
Mm-hmm.
So...
And then pump him when he flips again.
Yeah. We're going to block. Really, really not sure what's happening here. I'm confused. Does that really do anything? I guess it just pushes the damage through.
Just 1, yeah. Why not?
Okay. All right. All right. Nice life linker here.
And a champion.
Yeah, champion's like scary.
Right.
Puts us closer to dead. But we have to play it. I mean, we're not going to sit here and pray to God that we do something. So,
or do we just leave up activating Hive?
I don't really think I would play the champion.
Okay.
I mean, we're looking for big swings here. We need to draw like Thorin, Kalidas, another Edgar. Okay. I'm really not sure what's going on. I don't think they're using their fatal push as well. Okay, okay. Hold on. Hold on here.
Yeah, because then we drew 2 and only lost 2, right?
Yeah, we drew 2. We lost
Could've
2
lost
instead.
3.
Yeah, we could have lost another life. And I mean, they can do the same play that they did last time. They can kill whichever creature the lifelinker blocks, and so we don't gain any life. So it's weird. Like for the plan that they're taking to be successful, they need to have like a bunch of fatal pushes to keep the lifelinkers off the battlefield, and I don't think that that's the case. Wow, we're drawn very well. So we're gonna play the estate. We're going to play the Sorin using the estate so that we leave up the black and white to fracture here.
Right, okay.
We're gonna make a 2/3 flyer with lifelink. And then we're going to fracture the Anvil.
Doesn't matter which one.
We should do the one that's untapped.
Just to make them do it?
Yeah, if we do the other one, they could sack the other one.
Oh,
now
right.
They have to like sack their own.
Sack it to itself, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it matters, but okay. So we're in this.
Yeah, feels like it. I feel in this.
Yeah, we're in this. I mean, hopefully they don't have fatal push number 3, because next turn we're gonna have a 2/2 lifelinker, a 3/4 lifelinker.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna be able to like swing this game here. This is why you don't concede.
Right. Yeah.
So 5. We died a Shrapnel Blast.
That's
going to be a
is
meat
anyone
hook?
playing that again? Oh, it's a meat hook.
That
pretty
kills
brutal.
us. Yeah,
that certainly kills us.
Just kills us too. Just kills us. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kills us. Just kills us. That was close. All right. Anything changes for this? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think we just hope for the non-triple Anvil hand and
yeah, that'd be good.
Hope to get away with that. That meat hook got us there. On the play. Oof, this is not a keep. Very good, but not a keep. This is all right. It's not great, but it's all right.
Turn 3 champion. Keep it.
I mean, we'll be putting back 1 champion. We're dead to Thoughtseize regardless. So keeping another champion doesn't make us Thoughtseize proof. They just take the Sorin.
Right.
So at this point, that's what it is. We're in rough here. Very little interaction. Very soft to a Thoughtseize. Our own Thoughtseize? Nope. Play the Hive. Pass. Anvil's very bad for us here.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughtseize is bad.
Have you been seeing a lot of Anvil?
A lot of Anvil. It's making a little bit of a resurgence. It has a better control matchup than it looks like it has. Oh, this is good for us. Blood token sack? Oh, this is nice. Oh, this is great. So they were greedy, and they kept the one-lander like we could have done. Oh, no, it's just not untapped. Okay, this is good. This allows us to get the champion down, and more than likely our Sorin will survive. It'll be very unlikely that they can kill the champion.
Yeah. Drew a castle.
It's all right. So now even if they have an anvil, they don't have anything to sack to the anvil. So it's good. It's very possible here that they have like Thoughtseize and things like that. Like they probably kept hoping that their black source would come in. Deadly Dispute's not bad either.
Yeah, and Sorin lives. Well, Sorin lives
Sorin.
now.
I mean, they could have an Epicure here. That would be like really bad for us. But if they don't, and we get the plus Sorin attack for 5, we're feeling very, very good about that. Okay. Something on upkeep? No. Okay.
We're gonna pump this champion?
Yep. We'll pump the champion. I don't think they play anything that can kill it with 2 mana.
Not at instant speed, no.
Yeah. I think they're F6 too. That happened pretty fast. So we're gonna gain 5 here. And that's a huge swing against a deck like Anvil that's trying to like chip away at your points.
Yeah. Castle Aetherborn? Or hold up Murderous Rider? Or
we're gonna hold up. I'm pretty sure. I mean, this is getting a little bit like fancy. I'm pretty sure they held up a Fatal Push. I don't see why they paid for the black mana.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they held up a Fatal Push. So we'd rather tax their mana a little bit. And I mean, worst case scenario here, we just draw a card with Castle, and we still get some sort of play.
Right. Yeah.
Oven is so-so here. It does give them kind of like a blocker that they can sack so that we don't gain life.
Right.
See, this is good. So we're definitely in a good spot here. If they sack the treasure...
Get rid of this now?
We don't need to do it right now. But if they sack the treasure, we need to respond to the treasure being sacked to kill it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We'll do it at end of turn, but we don't need to do it right now. What are they vault surging?
Sorin.
Okay. We'll still do it anyway. We'll kill the Mayhem Devil here, but they get Sorin no matter what here.
Yeah.
Oh, this is great. So we will Thoughtseize, and then we'll hold up Takenuma to get back the Sorin.
Okay.
So Meat Hook, they're far from Meat Hook, right? To get
from a decent one, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll get rid of the Mayhem Devil here.
Play this on white?
Play it on white. And we'll attack for 5 here. And then we'll be able to Takenuma back the Sorin.
Yeah. It's the only Neon Dynasty card in the entire deck, but it seems like a pretty good addition.
Yeah, it's a great addition. It helps you play 25 lands, which is kind of important with this deck. because you play so many creature lands, but it also, like you said, is a spell that we can use later. So Takanuma here. So we know what they have in hand, right? Yes. We know it's Cat and Meat Hook. So we'll be taking back that Sorin. And we'll be playing Sorin out. Plussing. Hacking. We're going to gain 6 here.
Yeah.
Force them to chump. And then here we're going to actually play the Murderous Rider. So we'll play the land and play the Murderous Rider. It uses up all of our mana here.
Mm-hmm. They can trade for Den.
I think they were going to play Cat. Again, they're still in a good spot with like a Cat Oven. It's not a great spot, but it's a decent spot. They're able to chump whatever we give lifelink to and like, you know, take a few chip points. But we are ahead. So we know they have Meat Hook.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. So they found Oven. So so this is good.
They want to take the
we're able to take that Meat Hook out of their hand, and then
we have this Menace 3/3 too.
Yep. So we're gonna be able to do both. So we're gonna be able to Thoughtseize and Menace.
Right. Yeah. So we'll get in for 5.
Yep.
And are we plussing on Murderous Rider? Or Champion?
We're not plussing on Champion. Either one doesn't matter because they both won't get the token. So it's better to do it on the Hive because we'll gain more life on the Hive.
Yep.
And then we attack. So what's good here too is that we can eat the Cauldron Familiar that's in there.
Right.
And they cannot kill the Sorin on the Crackback either.
Okay. They do not have a Meat Hook Massacre. We don't know their cards anymore.
No. They need to find something to do here because...
Okay.
We had them dead. Even with the Cat Oven, they would take 5 and we'd be able to fling a creature at their face. Perfect 4-1 there. Really good. It showed off the power level of the Vampires deck. It plays very similarly to the red-black mid-range deck, where it's a Thoughtseize Fatal Push deck that kind of has this mid-rangey aggro like slant towards it. So it's very, very good against like all the decks that are trying to beat up on the top deck. So it's not very great against blue-white control. It's not really good against Phoenix. But you try and save those matchups with your sideboard slot. So you saw a lot in those games. We weren't sideboarding because those are the matchups that we're good against. So we played against Bring to Light, Winota, Red-Black Midrange, the Mirror Match, and the Anvil deck. Those are all generally matchups that we're pretty good against. So we weren't sideboarding that much. Had we seen some of those other decks that I was naming, we would have been siding in, 3 silences, the rest in peace, the go blanks. We would have been bringing in a lot of things because that's what our sideboard's targeted for. So it's really important when you're building this Vampires deck is not to get too hung up on, what cards can I bring in to beat, the other aggro decks in the format or the mid-range decks in the format, because your main board is already good at those things. So you really need to skew your sideboard to be good in the other matchups. And that's why the white splash is so important, because the white cards are probably the best cards you can be using to shore up those matchups.
Yeah. Yeah, are there any points from any of those matchups that we didn't talk about that you wanna discuss? Like Winota was our one loss. Was that just a? I mean, our main board can't deal with. It deals with Winota with Murderous Rider, which we have 2 of. We can push the elves. But how else is the main board set up to beat Winota?
It's not really set up to beat Winota. Winota's like kind of like that in between like aggro combo deck where it does a little bit of both. What you're trying to do in those matchups is try and use your Thought Seizes to get those things. So that's really like the card that we want to lean on a lot there. Or if we have a lot more of that interaction, we can kind of like pick off those little creatures and make Winota like just a 4/4. Like I said in the first game of that match, had they not went Goose Innkeeper, when we played Sorin, we would have plus Sorin and thrown our vampire at the one creature that they had.
Right.
But they did just have 2, and that's kind of how it shook out for us there. But if that wasn't the case, like we can use our Sorin a little bit more proactively to kind of keep creatures off the board, similar to what you would do in like if you were playing control against them and stuff. Sometimes it's not really about fighting Winota; it's about being able to take the creatures off the battlefield and make Winota just a 4/4. I think it's pretty much like maybe like a 40-60 matchup. Like we're not favored, but we definitely can win the matchup. It just really matters how it plays out. If you're trying to pick up this deck and you're expecting to play against a lot of Winota, you can definitely make some sideboard changes to be able to win that matchup. Things like Noxious Grasp is really good, and it helps you pick up some percentage points in some of your other bad matchups like Blue-White Control. So you can play maybe a little bit more of those over playing like, the One Duress and the Heartless Act just to bring in a bit more against the Winota matchup. But it's definitely just one of those matchups. Again, you have to remember you're not going to be good against everything, and that's just Magic. So having a 60-40 matchup against Winota, it's really not that bad unless, like I said, it's like a heavy metagame that you're in with Winota. Outside of that, you're just going to try and hope that, you're on the draw and you're able to do your thing a little bit better than they're able to do their thing.
Yeah. Are there other vampires? So if someone's bringing this to an F&M and they're like pretty knowledgeable about the decks that are going to be there every week, are there other vampires that better deal with, say, like a more aggro heavy, like, because we could of course board in or slot in more removal, but we don't want to remove that density of vampires, right? Are there just more Kalidas maybe, or?
Yeah, so that's it. So there isn't that many other like vampires that you do not see in this list that you would want to play, but you can definitely move around with the numbers of each one that you're playing. So like you said, if you are in a meta where you're playing against a lot of aggro decks, a card that is really important is Kalidas, and instead of playing 2, you could play 3 in the main board, and you can move like an Edgar away, or you can take out, the worst creature you have is Dusk Legion Zealot, so you can always play 3 Zealots and like the 3 Kalidas. You can play a couple of Kalidas in the sideboard, depending on what your meta game looks like too. Blood Baron is definitely a card that you can tick up on or tick down on, depending. It's really, really good in the matchups that it's good, but there aren't that many matchups that it's very, very good. But the vampires that you pretty much see, I would say, are pretty stock at this point. There aren't really anything else that you could put in. There are some fun ones like Vana the Butcher, which, is interesting and can be played and isn't necessarily bad. But I would say this is pretty much what you want to be playing. You don't want to tinker around too much with those vampires, but the numbers can definitely be moved around a little bit to match your meta game. And what you got going on. You'll see a lot of lists posted online that are playing like Go Blanks in the main board over, like the Sorin the Mirthless and things like that. It's really, there's some flex slots and some things that you can play around with, but you really want to be playing anywhere between 21 to 22 vampires, and you really want to be playing these particular vampires.
Great. Yeah. I looked up Sorin, Imperious Bloodlord, to see if it's come down at all from its all-time high in Crimson Vow. It came down a little bit, but there's a little tick up today, and I wonder if that's why if that's because of the some of the spoilers from New Capenna that we got today.
It's possible. The deck is definitely more expensive in paper than it is online.
Right.
Also, like some other cards that kind of get like collateral damage in some other formats are like Kalidas. Kalidas is a pretty expensive card in paper that has a lot of commander value and things like that to it. Thoughtseize is definitely more expensive in paper than it is online, and similarly for a lot of the lands. So this deck is definitely not a cheap version of like an F&M deck that you can be playing, but the positive part about it is that it's definitely a deck that you can play, and once you have, you don't ever have to feel bad about having. You're not going to get that many changes that'll come to the deck. We were talking about it at the beginning of the video, that there are, Xander was revealed and there could be more vampires, but a lot of the times that's just a change of a few vampires for a few vampires in. So you don't have to worry too much about this deck just becoming completely obsolete or the deck changing completely. So it is a decent investment into a deck too, if this is the kind of deck that you're looking to play.
Yeah, and we've had this video production scheduled for a few days, so we didn't know about the Pro Play announcement that was coming when we scheduled this. Is this something that is this a deck that could get to a point where somebody could use it in the qualifiers, or would you recommend maybe not?
It definitely can be. I think we saw a little bit of the power level that it has. It is a strong deck. It's built very, very well. The sideboard has a lot of flexibility. You're playing, again, white, which is one of the better colors for sideboard. It's definitely something you can bring. Again, with the new announcement, Pioneer is Cycle 1. It's going to be, the featured format. And, you are going to be rewarded going to these events and knowing your deck and understanding the matchups that you're going to be playing in. And this is the type of deck that rewards you for understanding the play patterns, and it can definitely be something that can be fun to learn and play. It's up there in the aggro category of good decks. Outside of Winota, I would say it's probably right up there. And it has a lot of game. From the videos, we were never really out of it. We were, always, even the losses that we had, we were, a draw away, or, one missed draw step from them away from being able to kind of catch right back up in the game. So it does have a high power level, and the gameplay is pretty consistent. If you can get that down pat, you can get pretty good at the deck. So I would recommend picking it up. I know it's not really the flavor right now for most people, but it is a good deck, and I could see it doing some damage at some events.
Yeah, great. Is there anything else we want to say about Orzhov Vampires?
No, not really. Like I said, it's a really, really fun deck to play. It's a tribal deck. I know we all love tribal decks, and it's actually a competitive tribal deck, so it's fun to pick up. It's fun to play. and it's something that rewards you for understanding the play patterns and the matchups. So it's definitely one of those decks you can pick up, play a lot of, and get really, really good with it. And it's pretty much a mainstay in Pioneer. And as I said before, it's one vampire away from jumping itself right back up to the top. So it's definitely an interesting deck to pick up and have fun with and enjoy at your FNMs or even at the qualifiers or regional championships, Pro Tour, whichever one you end up at.
I want to see Orzhov Vampires in the Pro Tour.
You probably will. You probably will. Somebody will bring it. There's going to be somebody that's, this is their deck and this is what they do.
Absolutely. What took it out of? I mean, there was a time. What was it? 2 months ago, where this was like the top played deck, like way over Phoenix. I might have that timeline way wrong, but what happened?
Yeah, so it was one of the most played decks for a good while. Right after Crimson Vow, Edgar really helped push it to the top. Like I said, it pushed us to also play the white cards because Edgar was a good payoff, and the white cards helped shirt up a lot of matchups that were tough. The part that pushed this deck out was blue-white control getting March of the Otherworldly Light.
Okay.
So what was really, really great about Vampires at the time was that if you played against Dimir control, which used to also be a top deck, or you played against blue-white control, you were favored in the matchup by like a mile. The deck was much, much better at beating control. It had Thought Seizes. It had resilient threats. Sorin was a problem for them to deal with. And Edgar, if it died, it was coming back. There were so many things that they had to deal with. And now, having March of the Otherworldly Light, they're able to exile threats, they're able to exile Edgar, and they're able to do it at instant speed. And that's kind of what's changed the game a little bit and kind of pushed it back down to the bottom. As I said before, the matchups it struggled with was Phoenix and Lotus, but it was able to beat up on all the other decks. So it was able to keep itself up at the top because you could focus so hard your sideboard to beating those two decks as you were so much better against the other decks. Now the problem is that it's kind of this three-headed giant that sits at the top, and it's not able to beat any of those decks. So it struggles to kind of keep itself afloat in the metagame for that reason. But like I said, if you do expect to be playing in a metagame that is trying to attack those decks, the top three decks, then you're actually going to be successful bringing this one as it beats up on all those other decks. So all the decks that are trying to be like incredibly aggro and get underneath of those controlling style combo decks, or they're trying to do like Niv Mizzet things where they're trying to go like big, but it's like a big spell that they try and push through. This deck is also really good against those decks as it has those timely Thought Seizes and Duresses to be able to kind of like save its threats and take out the important things like that. So it's good at that, but it's really struggling against those top three decks. So like I said, it's a Vampire or Planeswalker or something away from being able to kind of beat up on those decks again and kind of push itself back into the metagame.
Yeah. Great.
March of the Otherworldly Light.
Yeah.
Just a heck of a card.
Yeah, it did a number on quite a few decks.
Did a number on Pioneer.
Yeah, right.
The entirety of it.
Well, this has been a wild day. We're recording this on the day that the Pro Tour was announced. I'm super excited. I think it's really great for the format that we love. I know Carnage is excited.
I'm very excited.
There'll be a few tips on how to move through the structure and kind of qualify in Canada, written by Carnage, coming pretty soon. We'll have more coverage on PlayingPioneer.com about that process everywhere else. We have people on the team in 3 or 4 of the organized play regions that will kind of narrow down on how to qualify in those places. But yeah, super exciting. Really looking forward to how this kind of affects our format. You know, having a lot of people put a lot of attention into it, and who knows, we could have something something pop up that we weren't thinking about. When there's this many fresh eyes on it, there's been a lot of eyes on Pioneer for a while, but there's about to be quite a bit.
Yeah, there's about to be a lot. I think the format's going to be changing very, very quickly during the first cycle. Not even during the first cycle, I guess technically before the first cycle starts. We're already going to have a new set into it. So I think it's going to change quickly. I think we're going to have a lot more eyes looking and trying to evaluate cards and decks. So I do think we're going to see the metagame, which is already pretty quick to change. It's going to change a lot. We're going to see a lot of brewing that's going to go on, and it's going to be really, really fun to be a part of Pioneer right now. And, like always, if you're looking for any information about Pioneer, PlayingPioneer is the place to be. So come check us out. And if anyone's going to be in Toronto at the face-to-face tour next weekend or this weekend, depending on when the video comes out, I'll be there. Come say hi. I'd love to talk to anybody and see some people.
Yeah, nice. What weekend is that?
That is the weekend of April 9th, is Saturday. It'll be the second face-to-face tour. They're handing out invites to the regional championship. I'll be there, and I hope to see some of you there too.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for watching again. I'm happy to report that we have solved the audio issues from the last video. Were entirely on my end, and I apologize for that. But going forward, I think we're in a pretty good spot to do more of these. At some point, we might run out of decks I've never played, but in a month, there's going to be a lot of decks that nobody's ever played. So I'll be leaning on Carnage to figure those decks out, and we'll play through it.
We'll keep finding them. Don't worry.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Thanks, Carnage. So it's a legendary creature. ETB, opponent discards half the cards in their hand, rounded down. And it attacks, defending player mills half their library, rounded down. When it dies, opponent sacrifices half the non-land permanents they control, rounded down. So we can cheat this in with Olivia, right?
With Sorin, yep.
Well, with Sorin, but also the new Olivia.
Oh, it was up at the top there.
On that page?
Yeah.
Crimson Bride?
Yeah. It's a little bit further down there. Yeah, right there.
I mean, this is a 6-drop.
Yeah. I think
not gonna happen.
No. I think that's it. If you're building this Grixis and you're playing Xander, which I do think Xander is like a very good turn 3 card. So I could definitely see the appeal of putting Xander in. That's your top end. So you're not looking you're not looking for anything else high on the top end, anything really past 4, because I think you still want to keep the core of Champion of the Dusk, and you want to be able to play Kalidas. Kalidas is still good in a lot of matchups. So you're looking to play Xander. What you're looking for is another 4-drop to fill in the slot of Edgar, and possibly something better than Legion Zealot. So you're looking for something maybe a little bit smaller, and it's very possible with Xander being revealed that we could get some more vampires that could fit into that slot. But the appeal of Xander is that he does something when he enters the battlefield, he does something when he attacks, and he does something when he dies. So the important part to remember about Sorin, and when you're trying to put cards in with Sorin, is you want to have some sort of immediate value back when it enters the battlefield. So that's important to keep. It's why Kalidas isn't all that great off of Sorin. It's why it's better just to hard cast a Kalidas than cheat it in, because it doesn't do anything until you're able to untap. So It's why Champion of the Dusk is so important, and it's why like Xander would have something to do. An important part to remember about Xander is that everything is rounded down.
Yeah.
So, if they have one card in hand, they discard that one card. And that's important. It's not the whole like, oh, they have, one card, they keep that card. So it can be good. But, there are a lot of situations where a turn 3 Xander is going to really change the game in your favor. And I think it's a little bit better against control than it is against other things. So it could help that matchup where, if you're playing blue-white control, and they have 7 cards, they're going to have to discard, half of their hand, which is going to be able to kind of give you that advantage. And then if it attacks, they're losing half of their library. So it's definitely a good card. I could see the appeal of playing it. We would have to put it in the decks and see, is it really worth having in the deck and changing the colors of the deck? There's always the argument to not change the colors of the deck.
Right.
And
if we don't get other Grixis vampires along with this in Capenna, you don't need to change the mana base, right? I mean,
no, so that's it. So what you could do is you could keep the main board exactly the same, and like I said, you could play Lord Xander as the card you bring in against control, because I think that's where he's going to shine more than in like the aggro matchups. I don't think them discarding 1 or 2 cards and losing half their library is going to do very much. So I definitely see the appeal of him in those matchups. So you could definitely bring him in and just kind of say, I'm never hard casting him. You do play Voldaren Estate, so you could kind of maybe tick up the number of Voldaren Estates and use it to maybe cast it if ever the opportunity presents itself. It's reminiscent to me of the way Valky is seen. So you don't need to be playing red to play Valky. There are ways to cheat Valky in, and he's generally good. If you're just casting him, and I could see Xander kind of having that same kind of effect where cheating it in is really, really great, but casting it for 7 isn't the end of the world either. It's possible. It's something I'll definitely be trying when the set drops, and I'm hoping for a few more vampires that can kind of push vampires right back up to the top.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I love Grixis. I'm definitely excited to see the vampire tribe explored in Grixis. I don't know if looking at this Lord means we're going to get more, but my hopes are up there.
Yeah, I mean, generally vampires surround themselves with other ones, so
yeah,
hopefully.
Yeah.